My weekend was great. I spent it with Amy and my kids, and my kids just, yeah, we're backtesting IFGs. My kids just basically cruised around on scooters all day, played at the park. No, I'm not. Jordan. What are we backtesting today? IFGs. Smoking, sleeping, that's about it. Yeah. Honestly, munchies, I low key I could have guessed that, I think. I'm gonna go skate after this. Fire. Yeah, I trade prop firms. Apex, Take Profit Trader, My Fun of Futures, Alpha Futures, and Tradeify. How long have I been trading? About 13 months. Roughly. Any tips on managing money once they start coming? Any tips on managing the money once? Give it to me. My favorite prop firm is probably Take Profit Trader because they have the best funded rules. But I'm not gonna lie, the no consistency rule with them made me get a little greedy, and I got a little extra. So make sure you guys remember to just trade your system, and that's it. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Munchies can help with the money managing too. Yeah, this is a little bit more people than I'm used to dealing with, so to, if I miss stuff, just ping me, and Amy's gonna help me try and catch stuff too. Top Step's good, yeah. I've used Top Step before, I just don't right now. Take Profit Trader is not live threshold. Do you mean like the intraday trailing Grinberg? They have intraday trailing on their live accounts, which is kind of lame, but it's okay. Once you get over the buffer, it's like they're the best accounts to have. Nah, but for real, pay bills. How do I trade macro times too? Yeah, I love trading macro times. No DCAing for me. How come I don't use Top Step anymore? I like went through a spiral phase on Top Step for a couple of months, and so I've got just a bad taste in my mouth with them still. So it's not anything against Top Step. It's just I spiraled really bad and don't want to remember it anymore. So what's the difference between intraday trailing and trailing drawdown? So intraday trailing, your trailing drawdown will follow you live during your trades rather than updating at the end of the day. So just a quick example of why that would be an issue. Let's say you do. No, I live with Amy. Uh, the, what was I saying? Is there yeah, there is an activation fee on Alpha Futures. She can come to. Yes, that Amy. That Amy and I are married. Yeah, intraday drawdown. Okay, so intraday drawdown. If you're like, let's say you're up $1,000. Like, okay, let's say you're trading on a 25K, right? Let's say you're trading on a 25K and you're up $1,000, wherever that may be, right? So your trailing drawdown is $1,500. If you're in a trade and you're up $1,000 and that comes back and takes you out at break even and you don't take any profits, now your trailing drawdown you have left is only $500. Does that make sense? Whereas if it was at the end of the day update, your trailing wouldn't change until the end of the day after all your trades are finished and the market's done. So end of day is definitely better than unrealized trailing, in my opinion. But it just depends on how you trade. Like, just take profits fast and it won't really bother you that much. Cheap evals come with higher activation fee. Yeah, we're rolling. Yeah, Amy and I are full-time traders. I'm not going to share that information. Yashas. Yashas. All right, everybody. If you're just sitting down to start your trade day, what's the first thing you're going to do? Tell me. Pray? W, actually. That's what I do. Bias. Okay? Higher time frame. Okay? Mark liquidity. Okay? Liquidity levels. Yep. Dry, non-humid weather. Yeah, this... Liquidity levels. All right, what do you mean by liquidity levels? What's a liquidity level to you? Give me examples of liquidity levels. Higher time frame drawn liquidity, 15-minute time frame, London, swing low, swing high, data wicks, data highs and lows, period stay high, period stay low, session highs. Good. Equal highs and lows, good. Internal, external. LRLR. Okay. Higher time frame FVG. That's honestly one I was waiting for. All right. So we're going to start on the daily chart. No sound? There's definitely sound. All right. Anybody notice anything on the daily chart? Bearish? Inverse bullish? FVG, inside bearish gap, changing state of delivery, neutral. All right, so I'll tell you what I'm seeing. I'm seeing us barely wicking down into this bullish gap and pumping like crazy, right? But then what else happens? We also barely tap this and reject super hard, right? But now, after that, we're also holding this daily FVG, right? So I'm not going to lie, my bias could go either way right now. What would be something that could happen that would really obviously change my bias? NWOG? All right, here's my two conditions. If we close above this gap, I'm going to be bullish. If we close below this gap, I'm going to be bearish to here. Does anyone not understand why? So, close below, bearish. Close above, bullish. Does that make sense? But right now, there's too many different FEGs to go off of, right? So I'm not going to commit to either one side, right? I'm going to watch and see what the market tells us. But right now, we're holding multiple different higher time frame FEGs. So let's drop down to the 4 hour. Yep. All right. So in the 4 hour, what do you see? Yeah, pretty much the same thing, right? One thing that I'm noticing is this. We have a 4 hour BPR. Okay? If we are going to expect this BPR to hold, we're probably going to imagine to see something like this, right? But let's say we just yoink up through this. Well then, this is my next draw. Yeah, really could go either way here. Yeah, I do like this. We tapped this and got a very bearish reaction. So, all right. Why is this? All right, it's a random time to start, but I guess we can do that. Let's look at the 5 minute. Maybe. Hello? All right, 5 minute. We got this gap holding down. We got this BPR coming out of this giant candle. Might be looking for shorts here, guys. But again, just because we're assuming that we're going to look for shorts, does that mean we just short? One thing I do like, we just swept out these highs. We're delivering from this gap to the left. Yeah, exactly. We do have these relative equal lows right here. But looking to the left, I'm not really seeing anything super obvious to take except for maybe this, you know? But again, there's nothing obvious, so what do? Nothing. This is kind of a weird time to start. I low-key think we should go to the next day. We literally just started this at 11 o'clock. It's okay. We'll take a PM play, I guess. All right, so now we've pushed down, tapped into this, and we've came up and taken these highs. So does that look bearish to you? Not really, right? So, just because it doesn't look bearish, does that mean we go long? No. Looks like we might finally inverse this 5 minute that was holding. We'll see on this next candle. So no inverse on this 5 minute still. All right. Low key. Do we have an SMT anywhere? Yes, we do. Does anybody not know what an SMT is? We currently have an SMT right here. Haven't got the SMTs yet. So SMTs is basically, if you see this, NQ put in a higher high, ES did not. So NQ pumped up and swept out this high while ES did not. So this is a bearish SMT, meaning it's possible we could get a bearish reaction from that. Now, I am noticing that we do have an SMT, but we also do have both of these really obvious gaps. Oops, didn't want to do that. Thank you. I honestly don't know if I've ever looked at YM a day in my life. I can't lie. This is pretty choppy. I don't know if I like this. The only thing I like about this really is the SMT. But we do have an IFVG here. Right? So we got the close below. We do have a little bit of LRLR. And we do have a low inside of this FVG. But I really, really am not a big fan of this. Right? In fact, this looks like it could also be generating up. So price action is sloppy, but it does look bearish. You're not wrong. Like I'm low key considering taking this just to try it. We have delivery. I won't take it. So here we have a bigger 3-minute gap that's still holding too. All right. Which we did not get the close there. Oh, that's a nice candle, but all right. I think we look for a long maybe. Mechanically, it probably was an A setup, to be honest. But the only issue is this 3-minute is a lot more obvious and singular. And we're not getting the close until we've already tapped down here. So it's kind of invalid to take on the 3-minute. If you had a lot of conviction in this, you could have taken this 1-minute. But after tapping down into this, pumping, closing here, we also have another gap here and this gap below. Don't really want to short into this, right? It wasn't bad, but it's just a little choppy. I would like to see better FVGs being put in before I take a trade, to be honest. So we'll keep playing. I do not use standard deviation. What's my alpha futures code? That's crazy. I actually do have one. That's funny. It's that. Can I full? No. They have consistency rule, so yeah. I think you can do it with my funded futures accounts and Tradeify accounts, low key. So honestly, we just swept out this low. We have a really nice 3-minute gap right here. We tapped into this 1-minute. Technically like a BPR-ish. Not really, actually. We'll see the reaction out of this. Okay, so we just inversed this entire gap on one candle. We swept this low down here. Oh, I don't have my broom, bro. Dang. Sweep. We got like this LRLR above. Full port means to just basically enter a trade where you risk your entire account. I like this momentum, honestly. I think we're going to take this. How do you tell between good and bad momentum? Good question. Um, see how on this inverse. See how on this inverse it chops around a whole bunch and these candles are just overlapping and then all of a sudden we just randomly close below. Versus right here, what you're currently seeing is like super V shape. See how this is chop. This we're actually getting some fair value gaps being put in, right? So is momentum the same as volume? Yeah, I guess you could probably relate those two. I don't. It's not really the same, but if there's good momentum, there's probably good volume, but they're not the same. Could use the CISD after sweep earlier entry. Yeah, but the thing is with this big giant 3-minute gap right here, you don't know if we're gonna pump up through this or not. We could easily reject that and come after these lows. But now we've got this giant V shape through this 3-minute. We swept this low. We have an SMT above that I feel like the market's trying to break right now is what it's doing. It's a obvious V shape on both indices too. Mini LRLR right here. Yeah, but the thing is we came down and swept sell side now. So let's say, okay, that's a good question. He's basically, Joe is basically asking about targeting a protected high. So this high took out this high inside of this fair value gap. Now, if price would have came down and just got an inverse like this, that's a bad inverse. But we came down and swept some sell side first, right, on both indices, and we're getting delivery, which makes this not protected. I like it. Not after sweeping this. Tony. I'm going to. So stop loss will be closed back below. Not the best candles, I can't lie. So late, GG. So, not really digging how these candles just kind of died right here. I almost want to go break even on this, I can't lie. Like after this momentum and then we just hit this 5-minute and stop. Not to mention this 5-minute has been holding price like crazy. Right? So if we want this to rip to take this high, we kind of don't want this to slow down very much. But we did just get a 5-minute close. So yeah. I know. I feel like it's still going to work. We're just going to risk it for the biscuit. All right. I'll go break even after that. Because now we've swept out all these highs right here. And I don't want to see this come back now. We're going break even. Bang! Absolute W. Bing bang bing bang boom is the best one ever. Type 1 if you took that. Where's this PA nowadays? For real. W. All right. Let's go over the reasons why we took that. So this was A+, I can't lie. On all 60 accounts. There you go, Beal. So we have liquidity sweep, momentum, delivery, clear, targets. Oops. Definitely A+. IFVG. It was a 3-minute. Does anyone know why I put my TP right here? Honestly, I'm only aiming for this high right here because we're kind of pumping into a big bearish gap. So secure the bag. So honestly, this was the current range. So we're delivering from discount. Yeah, it's definitely A+. I forgot to add that too. Plus, just a random thing that I've been noticing. Wait, where'd it go? When we put in an SMT like this, it's like an intermediate term SMT. And like when we come down, sweep sell side, deliver, and immediately pump back up, this is not a SMT that's going to hold. Low was swept, so now it's not a protected high. Yeah. So why was it not? Because if you look here, dude, I hate when I put a bunch of drawings. This swing low that was swept is the same swing low that set up this protected high, right? So we came down and swept sell side from the same impulse leg, basically. So it's no longer protected. You'll show me protected, Ayo. Alright. There's that if anyone needs to have that. Okay, just before we move on, does everyone see the obvious difference between this and this? Like, please tell me you can see that. Like it's so much more obvious, right? One is slow, yeah. And not to mention, I don't know, we're in discount right now. How many points? It was 34. And I feel like it's possible this keeps ripping. But we're done. Next day. Looks like we have a news candle, but no data wicks, unfortunately. So, does anyone understand the news candle data wicks? Or not understand, sorry. Yes, sir, as in you don't understand? You don't know? Okay. Yeah, so Dodgy has a setup called One Setup for Life, and he uses these um the 8:30 sorry. Yeah, the 8:30 a.m. red folder news candles, right? When you get a big giant news candle and it has big wicks like that do this, basically the One Setup for Life is waiting for the market to sweep one side and then you target the other. He has a huge he has several videos on it on his YouTube. But the fact that we don't have an abnormal wick right here means we have no data wick play. Now, in my opinion, will this news low be hit again at some point? Yeah, 100%. But it just doesn't follow under the category of the One Setup for Life. So, no One Setup for Life there. Dang, we're pumping right now. Let's slow down a little bit and zoom out and see what happened overnight. Hi, Oksana. First time here. Sometimes I'm confused about the proper time frame to look for premium and discount. Should we look for any particular time frame? So you can use premium and discount the same exact way on any time frame. What you want to do is look for a big move in one direction. As soon as you see that, and then you see us put in a swing after that move in one direction, you can use your premium and discount on that. Does it always work? No, but you can use premium and discount on any leg. Here's a better one. See this right here? See how we put in this higher time frame swing low, and then we have this really one-sided move up. Like we didn't really get any good retraces in here. That is a good spot to drop your premium and discount, right? So if you're long bias and we've been pumping one direction, hey, thank you. You want to see us come down and tap this. This is actually a perfect example. See how we hit this discount and then just chop. Yeah, you can use this on any time frame, right? Just look for, like here, I'll go to the 5 minute. You could literally even use it. I mean, if you want to be extra, you can use it literally on stuff like this, right? See how we pump up, put in a swing, come down, hit discount again, then go up. You could do it anywhere, any time frame. It doesn't mean it's always perfect, no, but it's a good way to kind of read where we're at. Now, what I don't like is this has literally been just chopping up and down in here since we took that trade yesterday, right? So buy below midnight open and sell above midnight open. Indeed. All right, 4-hour time frame. We can see this gap is definitely holding price to be bullish for now. But we're also longing into this gap that's been holding, which is why on the lower time frames, price action is so back and forth right now, right? Because we're in between two giant gaps. Yep, for sure. Have a good one. She's saying be subjective to that. Like, don't always just make it black and white, you know? Unless it works, then do it. If it works and you make money, do it. Yeah, the thing is, it's not always true, but then again, not every trade is always going to be a winner. All right, I don't know how to feel right now. We're in between these two higher time frame gaps that are just holding back and forth, right? So if we're going to take some plays within this range, it's going to be like the last trade we took where we don't aim for very many points and we just take, our low-hanging fruit. 15-minute time frame, this is a mess. Does anybody have any idea what this is saying to you? Does this speak to you? Does this tell you anything right now other than what the heck is going on? Like, is this giving you any obvious direction that the market wants to do? Exactly. Yeah. So until then, until we see something obvious, we wait. Very obvious. It's going up and down. Yep. So if we did want to take a short, right, we did just take a bunch of buy side. You can't just take this first inverse, right? You can't just take this first inverse with this big giant gap below. You would want to see some engineered lows get put in first, right? What does ES say? ES says same thing. Mess, mess, mess. If we are delivering from a 4-hour FVG and give IFVG from 15-minute line time frame, do we can see longs from the 15-minute? Yeah, possibly. That's what I'm saying is like we are in between these two big gaps, but it's also it's a big enough range to where we could maybe catch smaller scalps, But looking at this is very not obvious in any direction. So you're saying basically you think we do something like this. Bank. There's no trades to take right here. To be honest, there's nothing to take here. This is just like some random inverse, but there's no good targets below. Like I know, okay. Don't just look at this and be like, "Oh my god, V shape." Right? There has to be more to it than that. Are there any good targets right here? No, it's just a big giant gap below. Does that make sense? You gotta have targets. I'm gonna just skip to open. Whoa. The long was nice. Where? This? I guess. What do you guys think? I'll give you my thoughts, but I want to know what you guys think. I'd never in my life take this trade. Okay. Okay, so the problem was we didn't sweep anything to the left. We didn't push down and tap into any FVG, so there's no delivery. There is no target because you're just targeting some random high above, and this gap is very not obvious. If you want to take a long like this, you want us to tap into some obvious gap below, right? We didn't do that here. Now, could you maybe, if you're that kind of trader, you could maybe call this like an order block tap, but that's just, I don't, I don't trade that. Not that that's bad, but I just don't trade like that. But you see the gaps on these candles compared to the gaps on these? How how much more obvious these are? Like these candles, I can scoop back here all the way across my room and see those gaps from here. But that other one, I would not even know like that was an inverse from here. You know? You want it to stand out. Pretty choppy, not gonna lie. No obvious gaps. Too much random FVGs in the way. Bro, is that open actually? Bro, look at this opening candle. For real? That's so bad. Alright, this is just pretty choppy so far. FVG to the left, random. I'm sorry, which one? This? What do you mean by random? So, this so far is looking a lot more bullish to me than yesterday. Are they random or would price want to reverse up from there? That I can't know until the candles answer that question for me, right? Like when I see these gaps get put in, it's not something I can go, "Oh, okay, sweet. We're going to pump out of here." But it is something that I can mark and watch what price does out of it. When I see us wicking down and struggling to get below these after this and we just rip up, then yeah, maybe I'm now assuming that we can pump out of these gaps, right? But even then, there's no trade for us to take here. Does that make sense? Are there days you don't take any trades or do you just settle at the end of the day for a small play? He's the most underrated patient trader and will definitely skip days if he. Yeah, there are plenty of days where I honestly don't trade, to be real. I'm like, as long as I'm not spiraling, I'm like mad picky. Like I can't just catch an inverse and just take it. I have to see, like, okay, I'm not gonna lie. Backtesting for me has been so hard because, like, when I backtest, it's really hard for me because there's plays where I'm like, oh, well, I could backtest it, but in my brain, I'm going, I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't take it. So it's kind of hard. How do you deal with FOMO when you have correct bias and you never get an entry? I'll show you how you deal with FOMO. Look at this chart. Look at this chart. If you're looking at this chart and you go all the way back as far as you can, and as far as you can go, these candles are moving every day, right? They never stop moving. So there's no point in having FOMO when you can always come back and the market's always going to be moving. Who cares? Sometimes putting work in by actually not trading and just observing rather than taking a bad setup because you're impatient and want money. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I've been having those moments the last couple weeks. I can't lie. I like wasn't really like trading to trade. I was like trading because I was trying to make money, and it bit me in the butt, and now I regret it. Well, I don't regret it, but I learned from it, and now I'm going back to my model. What day do you lose the most? I just checked minus Thursday. Friday! Fridays, I hate them. I cannot stand trading Fridays, bro. It drives me nuts. I would literally rather trade Thursday evening Asia or London than trade Fridays. Fridays chop me to bits, bro. I can't stand it. And then the thing is if you've had a decent week all week, bro, and then you trade a Friday and get chopped, it like just makes your weekend so sour. I don't like that. Because you're like, bro, I could have just not traded today and just chilled and been. I hate Fridays, dude. It's just if price action is really, really good or we have some like really important news on Fridays, maybe I'll consider it. But dude, I can't stand Fridays normally. All right. So we're ripping through this 4-hour gap. So this is looking a lot more obviously bullish than it was the day before, right? On backtesting. We got 12 minutes to the close on the inverse of this 4-hour, and then what? What do we expect after that? You expect this to be the next draw on liquidity, right? Now, does that mean that we get this 4-hour close and then price just goes, all right, cool? No, absolutely not. We could very easily wick down, come back up, chop, accumulate more. You just have to wait and see. So right now, this looks very obviously bullish. So I think we got the inverse there. Okay, so the 4-hour did inverse here. Now, I know this looks really obvious and you would think that we're mad bullish, right? But does anybody have something else that we should probably look at first before we just assume we're going to keep going up? OB. OB at the top. I'm thinking about something different. Before we just assume that we're going to keep ripping up because we inverse this 4-hour, is there something else that we should look at? Now look at these candles. Going up to here. Before we assume we're bullish to this wick, just by looking at one time frame, hint, hint, what should we do? because if I'm looking at the 4 hour and I'm seeing this, I'm gonna look exactly. I'm gonna look at lower time frames because we could very easily have a 30-minute gap right here, a 15-minute gap right here, a 1 hour gap right here, right? Just because we inverse this 4 hour doesn't mean it's just smooth sailing up to the top. 4 hour is singular. But then I zoom down to the 1 hour, and now look. What's this? Right? So I'm going to extend this over. Because if we can't inverse this 1 hour, am I really going to stay that bullish? No. We got the 4 hour inverse, yeah, so I'll remove that for now. But this 1 hour is still holding. Look how we're now wicking above, but can't close above. I know I'm on the 1 minute, but the gap that I drew is from the 1 hour. Oh wait, you're right. My bad. Either way, we got a gap here. Right here. Dude, that makes a lot of sense on why it took so long to drag over. Thanks. So, we have this tiny 1 hour that's holding. It's like the last 1 hour in the leg. Alright? It's like the last gap. 15-minute. 5-minute. So, I'm playing either side until I see us close above this, to be honest. If you trade AM session, do you trade 9:30 to 12? No, probably like 9 to 11. But I don't usually trade AM session. Okay, so we're ripping up still. Chopping around in this 1 hour. Okay. Anyone see what's happening here? This 1 hour gap is holding. Is reliable from the PM stream? Yeah. Because the 4 hour inverse, I would look for longs and premium. So, thank you for saying that, Bert. Because I was just about to say that. Just because this 1 hour gap is holding doesn't mean I'm ready to short. Right? Honestly, I would like to see this. That would be our dream scenario, right? Generate some more buy side. We're getting this LRLR right here. So just because this 1 hour gap's holding doesn't mean I'm going to take a short. This is clearly bullish. Would I short into the 4 hour wait? No, I would wait to trade out of it. This is, if you're going to short this, you're fading a pretty strong bias right here. This is really V-shape. And we have delivery from here. So now we got to wait for shorts to play out and look for a long, basically. You would wait 50% retracement to go long? I would wait until at least we swept some sort of obvious sell side. Which at that point would probably be about 50%. You would long this? Long what? There's not even an inverse. Is there an SMT? Vert. Vert's saying we should long this. What do you guys think? Okay. So, if we zoom out, what do we see? This 1 hour gap is still holding. I know, you're always right, dude. That's why I was asking. And now it looks like we're potentially doing what? Putting in a lower high. We don't know yet though. Gotta wait. Do you use the IFEG indicator? No. I had it to try it out, but I don't use it. Okay. So never mind, dude. Still nothing for us to do here. And now we're kind of doing this, bouncing on this trend line, right? So, low key, if we're going to look to take a short, at least now you are getting some decent targets put in here, right? Is it worth buying? The new one? I haven't used the new one yet. The only one I used was discontinued because it wasn't very good. So, and just like we said, right? Just because the 4 hour inverse doesn't mean we're just going to rip right up after. So, this is fun. So on the 15-minute, we are delivering out of this 1 hour gap, and we also just inversed this. You want a long out of this 15-minute, bro? Or this one? We'll see. Chop, 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 chop. And I would definitely love an SMT, especially if it was on a pretty obvious. Can't you draw out EQ of the range and short to that? Not ideally. Okay, I like this. See how we have these relative equal highs, all this, right? So now we could get along. Take what? Is bro just telling me to short? I don't know what's happening. I think we're getting a chase call out here. Bro said, take it! I don't know what we're taking. Okay. Right, that makes sense then. Bro, don't do this. So we have this 1 minute gap to the left that's holding right now. I don't know. I would kind of want to see us like. I'm not gonna take this first inverse after we just do this, then dump. I low key want to see this get wrecked on at least one of these. Ooh, we got an SMT like crazy. Yeah, if we get like a candle that just like rips up through here, then yeah, it's considerable because we have an SMT, we have delivery, we swept the lows, we have LRLR above. The only thing that's not ideal is we're not in discount yet. Oh, we are. Lunch hour, not ideal. Okay. I like I would like this a lot more now, right? If we came down, swept this, then got an inverse back up, I would like this a lot more than if we would have just got this. Do you guys understand why? Yeah, it would. Bert. So the reason I would like if we came and did this more is mainly because this. We have better targets right here, right? We come down and get an inverse here. At least we have these near targets rather than trying to target and go up through this whole gap to hit up here, right? So basically these would be a better target to take now than if we would have just inversed here. The lower end of the FVG that you reversed, then the weaker it shows, right? If that's what you mean. Um, the lower into the FVG that you reverse, then the weaker it shows, right? Oh, do you mean like the fact that we pushed down so low into this gap rather than if we had just tapped it? Is that what you're saying, Jerry Bear? Like this gap is not showing to be very strong because we've pushed so far into it. Is that what you're asking? Yeah. I mean, ideally, yeah, you would like to. If this was going to be really bullish, right? You don't want to see this. Rip. This is pretty choppy. I know, dude, but I'm just. I forget. Hey, so this looks a little more like I want to see. All right. See how we just destroy this low? Love that. Vert can feel this setup coming. Why didn't it stop? Okay, that's fine. Rate the short to the low. This? Wait, where? This, I guess? I don't know. This? You guys, I don't I don't like this very much. This looks like a cell model, dude. There's not really any candles convincing me to go long right now. Yeah, this is too choppy. I understand we might we want to go long, but I'm not. I wouldn't be taking any of this. Okay, now if we ripped up through this, I would full port it. Okay, so no, this is getting a lot better, right? We're definitely respecting bearish PD arrays right now, though. But we're not gonna fade. We're not gonna fade a 4-hour inverse right now. Yeah, I know, but where? I want to take a long. Woo! What do you guys think? We're coming after the bottom of this data candle. All right, there's the low of that candle. So, do you guys see now? Let me just say this now. You guys see now why you can't just go, oh, 4-hour inverse, we're going to pump to the high. Is that what happened? Like, that's not at all what happened, right? Like, we inversed this 4-hour and immediately just dumped. So, did we know that that was going to happen? No. Yeah, I know, but we're doing. So 12 minutes until we get this. Oh man. Yeah, this is candles are definitely moving. This might be our current draw. So there's that. Okay, now we just swept a major low. Yeah, I definitely would like to. We just swept a major low. If we V-shape up out of this, then I'm gonna long this. But you know, probably just gonna do this. Chop, 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 chop. I'm just gonna keep dumping, bro. Say we go next day. It's 2:10. This dump was pretty much the move of the day. I doubt we're just gonna catch a reversal off that. That was pretty gnarly. Like in the middle of the afternoon. How long am I gonna stream? Probably not much longer, to be honest. Okay, but what about this, low key? I feel like I want to take this. No inverse, bro. Do you give any consideration to the sentence, the trend is your friend, while trading IFEG's ICT concepts? No. Wee. Invalid. No. Oh, on the 3 minute. It's technically not, actually. My bad. Honestly, this would be cool if we got like a confirmation long out of here. Wee. No, no longs today. After that dump, I wouldn't be surprised if it just does this the rest of the day. Unless we're just bearish, bro. Nothing for us to take. Jeez. Yep. We're going to go to next day. Bet. Data candle. We're going to backtest this one setup for life for our last trade. So, data low, data high. There goes the high already. So now we'll look to target the low. These candles are tiny, bro. What is going on here? Bro. What is this? Bro, please don't hit it. If open just wrecks this wick, I'm gonna cry. Bro. No. Bro. No, there was no entry on this. I see, I know what you're talking about, but there's no way. I'm not taking this. Well, maybe if to the left there was like some more lows right here or something, but I'm not taking that. Too far away, FEG? Yeah, well, you just don't know if we're going to go through this. They're just not, oops, they're just not good targets below when you get this inverse, other than the data wick, but it's just, I don't know. In live time, I'm not going to take that. Maybe I would. Maybe Dodgy would, but I don't know. Me personally, I don't know. It wasn't. It's like one of those B setups that works for some reason because it's a data wick. Yeah, probably. I don't know. It's just like if there wasn't a data wick below and you saw that, you'd be like, I don't know. Just feel like you're just shorting into all that. But you're probably right. I know, right? It has to be Friday. When you trade 1 to 3 minute time frame, which time frame is most important for bias? You want to use at least the 5 or the 15 at minimum for bias, to be honest. So we do have these lows right here, right? These are relative equal, and it's kind of like on this trend line too. We have this 15-minute inverse, really bearish reaction, right? Now we have this bigger gap to the left that's holding too. So we'll see. That was honestly a tough scenario to be in, right? Because, like, we had such a bullish close right here, and then we've just been dumping ever since. Like, there's no way we could have known that's what that's how that close was gonna go, right? So we're like, oh yeah, we'll wait for discount, then get along. But if it just keeps dumping, we can't predict that. All right, so that's a good candle. All right, so we did just get this 5 minute. Really nice momentum. Good break even spot. We've swept all these lows. LRLR above. Let's see if we got a... Delivery would be here. This 15-minute BPR. So we're delivering from a 15-minute BPR. We've swept all these lows. And trying to see if we got an SMT at all at the bottom. Kind of. So we also have like this little mini SMT here too. I think it's worth a try. Try and just take out these highs here. We'll go break even once we tap into this 5-minute above. Really good momentum. So we'll target that high. Our stop loss is a little big, so I almost think we sized down a tiny bit. It's like a 50-point stop. What do you guys think? Let me half size it. I was just about to mention that. There's also these inception gaps below, but I don't know. With this momentum, it would be nicer to just keep ripping, don't you think? So we'll drop our stop loss down a little bit so that we can talk about it as it happens, and we can decide if we maybe tap an inception gap if we want to stay in the play. How's that sound? Full size 1R. You want to just go 1R on the 5-minute like this then? So we'll just take profit in this gap or what? Okay, so well then, all right. So then we're just going to aim for this then. Yeah. We'll go regular size then, too. Could get this 5-minute OB, which would be pretty nice. Okay. So I guess we got the OB, kind of. Not really. Low key, that should. I think I was gonna go break even there, yeah, and I didn't. That's my bad. Yeah, my bad, guys. I was gonna go break even on that, and I didn't. But we'll just keep letting it play. So if we come up and take this high out again, definitely going break even. All right, so we'll go break even there. And do we scale here at all, maybe? We just tapped into this 5-minute, or do we just go full 1R? Heck no, scale. Scale if it inverses, scale. We are up not even 0.5R right now, so I think we let it ride. We're break even, it's risk free, doesn't matter. All right. Now do we scale? What would I do? I never scale, so that's why I'm asking you guys. I literally never scale. I just go to my TP and that's it. So I'm just seeing what you guys want to do. All right, let's run it. Damn. That's so unfortunate. I can't lie. And that, my friends, is why we scale. Yeah. I mean, technically, right here, we were up 60 points. We probably should have taken something on that. So let's check and see, does the break even save us? Yes, it does. So good call, good play still. You don't have to be green to make the trade be a good trade, just so you know. If you manage a trade properly and you conserve your capital, good trade. Yeah, I mean we definitely could have scaled, but it's okay that we didn't. It's just this is why we backtest. Doesn't matter. Still a good break even there. This setup was still A plus, and it definitely worked. So honestly, just unfortunate that we inverse this 5 minute and then come back down. No, the amount of points you catch doesn't matter. So good loss or good break even. Sorry, not a loss. Um. Okay, so here's what I'll say. Vert keeps saying scale at 1R, scale at 1R, but right now our 1R is almost freaking 90 points or 70 points. So sometimes you got to be a little subjective on that and or object. Dude, I always mix them up. You guys know what I mean. Like if you're up 60 points and you don't scale, that's kind of foolish in my opinion. The reason I said that I wouldn't scale there is because honestly, I would have been all the way out by then. But for back testing, I just figured we might as well see if we hit the high, right? Why not? All signs were pointing up. It looked bullish. Why do point Vert, let me ask you this. Are you a RR trader or are you a win percentage trader? Because it all depends on the trader, bro. Yeah, so if you're worried about your win percentage, then why do you care if your RR is bad? Don't you trade on your win percentage? People with high win percentage can get away with less than 1R average RR, you know? How to scale in MetaTrader 5? I have no idea. Well, um, yeah, on that one, it's funny. That was a good example to see everybody else's different thoughts because, dude, low key, as soon as we rip into this gap, like I probably am out of the trade. Like that's 40 points, dude. I'm more than happy with that. But obviously for backtesting reasons, it was fun to see if it was going to hit. Yeah, especially after we do this, put in this 5-minute OB, wick down, immediate bull shape or bullish V shape, right? Then we inverse this pretty easily. So it looked like we were going to keep going up. Bro, I want to take money based on if there's money there, you should just take the money. Like if your RR is trash, but you're green all week, who cares? If you find a way to be profitable, do it. Who cares about your freaking RR and win percentage or any of that? Just make money. Trade a strategy and execute it proper. That's it. All right, let me just put the reasons down for this, and then that'll be it for today. I forgot to do it on the last one. Was there a confirmation setup on the 1 minute? I don't think so. Yeah, there was right here. Technically, this is a confirmation setup, so. What do you guys think about scaling 80% at the break-even point? I think that securing any type of bag at any point is always a W, so. For me, what I've been noticing is that when I try and do too much and make too much or whatever it may be, I always pay the price for that. When I have take profit limits set at like 20 or 25 points, and I just don't aim for more than that, then everything goes a lot better. But that's just me. You guys got to figure out how to succeed as your own trader, you know? So this was A plus. Sweep. Momentum. Good targets. SMT. In discount. Our break-even point actually ended up being the resweep of this, so. .8, yeah, same, something like that. All right. So sorry I missed the other one, but here's the last one. And yeah, I think that's gonna do it for now. I feel like I'm in the mood to hang out with Amy, so. Anybody else have any questions before I hop off? Later, Vert. Yes, sir. Of course. Yo, thank you, man. Glad I could help. All right, everybody. Have a good day. Good luck this week. What's my YouTube? It's Oxano NQ. What's this? Hey, appreciate that, Mario. Don't call us brother and sister. That's weird. No, I'm just kidding. All right, everybody. All right, everybody. Take it easy. See ya. And I will upload this too. by the way, if anyone needs to rewatch it.